Welcome back to another episode of the Dummy Load after 2 weeks, because last week was Memorial Weekend, and one of our very own was very sick. I'm Davey.
Now one of your very own is still also sick.
Well,
Also one of your very own is also sick.
quit your, whining.
Bitchin'.
Let's
Go
say
ahead and say it.
Let's say whining.
Biatchin'.
I'm Davey, and it is May 30th, and so this still counts as our 4th episode of May, so
you
we're still
nailed
good.
it.
I
Nailed
nailed
it.
that. Oh, yeah, I always do.
First time he's got the date right this year, folks.
Exactly.
More of that to come. My name's Dennis. I am the one who is also a little bit sick now, but I'm powering through for you people because I love you. And across from me in the patriotic wing of the studio,
I'm Mark. I never get sick.
Lies. He calls in sick.
I think
like-
he's perpetually sick and he doesn't know what good feels like.
That's probably true.
I work with Mark, and I know that at least he calls in sick a lot.
That is not true.
Okay.
I live in a world of
When's the last time I called in sick?
There is no light.
When's the last time you no-showed until 10 o'clock in the morning? Twice a week at least.
Oh, really?
Wait, when's the last time you did the same thing? Oh, every day.
Fair point.
And I'm Michael. I'm the producer running this ship.
Nice. Thank you so much for joining us. And sorry we were not here last week. We like to be here every week, but last week Michael was sick, or so he tells us. And we had a Dummy Load Memorial Day weekend planned, and 3 out of the 4 of us went to it. And Michael did not show up for the entire weekend, and the weekend was amazing. And so I've got to figure
You could have come for part of it.
he might have.
I was
feel like
legitimately out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like sick. I felt terrible. I did not leave my bed, and I moved my bed to the chair in the living room just so I could watch Netflix.
you carried your bed up.
I didn't carry my bed. I just sat in
Oh,
the chair.
he had the strength to carry an entire bed over his head like a He-Man,
So one of the things that we have said
but he
before,
couldn't sit on a boat.
that Dennis and I bought a boat. You know, we got a boat together.
Yeah, but did.
It's a
And
big step in y'all's relationship.
it was nice to have. It's nice to have a boat, and we couldn't have. You know, it's a lot to drop on one. It's also nice to share the responsibility. I don't know why you're making this a romantic
Next
thing.
thing you know, we'll be taking
It's just
trips up
adorable.
the coastline in Northern
Yeah.
California.
Yeah, I guess that's what that is. Payback for
That's what the toy hauler's for.
their romantic getaway, which is we're here 2 weeks ago. But anyway, so Memorial Day weekend.
Touche.
So Memorial Day weekend, we thought this is great. We got a 3-day weekend. We'll go up. We'll get a campsite right on the lake. We'll party on the lake all days of Memorial Day weekend. And except for Memorial Day
I had
weekend.
I didn't think we were planning on going on the lake on Memorial Day.
Well, Memorial Day is Monday, so that becomes the work day. But that gives
Well,
us
you said all days of the weekend.
Saturday and Sunday
Yeah.
all day. And it rained
Right.
Saturday and Sunday all day in Texas, where it never does that. And so I remember you saying, Dennis, I want to punch someone in the face. I know that I can't blame an individual,
Yeah.
but this weather just took a dump
I
on
was
our weekend.
mad at there's nobody knows it. But I think I've mentioned this to you before. I've tried to plan just in the last year like 3 or 4 camping trips that got rained out, like maybe a tubing trip. Like just every time I try to plan something outdoors, like the drought ends and the sky opens. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Okay, now, when you're planning your weekends, are you contacting Hyde Park Baptist Church in Austin before you make these plans?
No, I had not heard of them.
Because
ever.
I have found out who is to blame for the Memorial Day weekend weather.
Really, they
Yes.
did it.
Hundreds of Christians in Austin, Texas last week sought heavenly intervention to alleviate their city's severe drought, and just days after making mass pleas to the Lord, rain came pouring down.
Sounds like I got a lot of punching to do.
It's always the Christians. The Christians prayed for rain.
Finally, someone to punch in the face.
Hyde Park Baptist Church. Members of Hyde Park Baptist Church prayed and fasted last week to bring rain to their water-starved lands. I believe, this is a quote, I believe that God can do big things, and I believe He's going to do it. Emily Davis, an Austin resident, said before the rain came.
God is going to ruin everybody's weekend.
Afterwards, some said they had witnessed the power of prayer in action. So we were going against Hyde Park Baptist Church prayer
Or some
when we made our
plans.
plans for that weekend. I submit that if we do another weekend in the future,
We asked them not to do that.
let's see if the Hyde Park Baptist Church in Austin prays for a nice weekend.
Yeah, let's go so far as to say, hey, can you clear it up a little bit? Maybe mostly cloudy, or I mean mostly sunny to partly cloudy. That'd be fine. If you can keep it about 85 degrees.
Yeah, because we
Yeah.
could use that.
Do you think they can do that? Are they that precise?
You want to know what? It's worth the shot
It's worth
because they sure got a lot of rain on our boat party on Memorial Day weekend.
It wasn't that bad, actually. I mean, okay, so Saturday we went out there. There was less
We need to get better at this.
of a party.
When we're done with the story, we throw the paper.
Yeah, I
Both
botched
cases.
that one.
Both cases, the Hyde Park Baptist Church prayer paper wanted to stay in front of us.
It's a sign.
Whoa.
Neil Mammon has got more ammunition, I think.
He can add
We
eighth
could-
element to
We
his
could
proving
put
guy.
this.
No,
I mean-
but so Saturday we went out there, and there was less of our friends went out that day, but and then there was a couple quick little showers, but Sunday was actually pretty nice. It didn't rain at all. It was a couple times where it was just all clouds, but
Oh no,
I mean,
it
we
definitely.
definitely got some good sun and everything.
I think you're confusing the days because Saturday it definitely rained.
That's what I
It
said.
rained. Oh, okay. I thought you said it didn't. On Sunday
No.
it didn't actually rain that much.
I think Sunday
And
rained
then-
at all.
On Monday, no, it did in the morning. We didn't get out until 1 o'clock.
Oh yeah.
So it had
Yep,
rained
yeah.
before.
Yeah, there's a couple little showers Sunday
Um,
morning.
On Monday, when we had to pack up,
Yeah.
it poured. That was when the prayer was seriously answered. Was when we needed to pack up the website or pack up the campsite, and we got drenched.
Yeah.
So
We
anyway,
can put up some of the pictures from the weekend.
I hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend, like we did. We still had a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a great weekend.
You know, and the nice thing about Texans is a little rain doesn't scare us, and so there was a lot of people still out on the water.
Yeah, it's
And we
so
still-
funny. After we get off the water, we're like, oh, okay, cool. We'll go cook and do this and that. And we'll stay up and hang out by the campfire and do this all. It's like I'm so exhausted after being out in the sun and the lake all day. We're cutting the fajitas. I'm just like,
It's true. On the second day, after 2 days on the water,
yeah,
we went to sleep at 11.
yeah.
So, on the same religious topic, and we're just going to go with different religions and different beliefs. You know, the Hyde Park believed that they prayed for rain, got the rain. Here's another one, and I don't mean to make them equal because they're not. They're very different. But His Holiness Sri Ashutosh Maharaj.
You butchered that first name.
No, I did.
Ashutosh, not Ashutosh.
Okay,
Only
Ashutosh. Yeah.
one T.
Good, fair enough. He's a wealthy religious leader in
Punjab.
city of
Halandahar.
is either dead or meditating. Okay, so this guy has a fortune of $170 million, and there's a debate over whether or not
How
he's
did he get
dead.
that much money?
I don't know how he got the money.
That was
Wait,
one big
where is he
collection
from again?
plate.
India.
Okay.
And he has done these meditations in the Himalayas and stuff. He's gone where it's sub-zero weather to meditate, and so this is something he's accustomed
So
to.
really, he just has gotten really good at hibernating.
And so you guys,
Yeah.
I want your vote. If you are watching, feel free to comment in the comments below. According to his family, he died from a heart attack on January 29th, 2014. Okay. According to members of Help me.
Oh,
Come on.
I'm sorry.
According to members
We're
of
the members of Divya Hoti Hagarati Santan.
okay, which was founded in 1983 and which describes itself as a socio-spiritual culture, not-for-profit organization. He's actually in a deep state of meditation known as,
Samadhi.
okay,
That's
Maharaj
really good.
has been in deep meditation. One of his followers said, he has spent many years meditating in sub-zero temperatures in the Himalayas.
Himalayas.
There's nothing unusual in it. He will return to life as soon as he feels, and he will ensure his body is preserved until then.
As soon as he can wheel the maggots off of his rotting corpse.
No, he's not rotting.
Oh. It's too
Punjab
cold, or what?
police initially confirmed that Maharaj was deceased, but the Punjab High Court ruled that his condition was a spiritual matter. So that he's got this $170 million in the balance, and that's what everybody's talking about
Yeah,
now. What
family
about-
thinks he's dead because they want the money.
Yeah, right.
I say
Well-
try to chop off his arm and see if he wakes up.
They
He's
say-
not talking to you. That's just like one of those twitching things.
He's
that
in
they do.
meditation.
He's
So-
dead.
So they say the opposite. They say that it's his followers that want the money.
Oh.
Now the Maharaj's wife and son are filing a court application seeking to have his death confirmed, claiming that his followers just want control of his money.
So wait, where's his body?
So here, I'm about to tell you. While all this gets decided, His Holiness
Sri Ashutosh Maharaj.
will remain right where he is in a commercial freezer.
Commercial freezer. We'll make some steaks off of him. We'll have a little barbecue. We'll figure it out.
Well, that's why he's not rotting, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if he's just meditating, leave him in a room.
He's
No one-
alive. You can tell by the
Put him in
icicles
the back-
hanging off his
put him in the
balls. He's
backyard.
obviously alive.
And then see
I
what
just-
happens.
I honestly put that post on our topic of conversation this week simply for the last sentence. While all this gets decided, His Holiness will remain right where he is in a commercial freezer.
Right next to the bomb pops and the steaks.
Okay, so if I was going to be a referee, I would say Christians 1, Punjabi followers 0.
Because they made it rain, and
He's
he's
in
in a freezer.
He's in a commercial freezer. He died of a heart attack. His family is saying he died of a heart attack on January 29th, and his followers are saying on May 30th. No, he's just in meditation. He does this all the time in the Himalayas.
Wow.
I don't know. I thought it was a great story.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good argument. They made it rain. He's sitting
Okay,
next to the venison
so
steak.
would the consensus be in our group that who thinks he's just meditating in the commercial
He's dead.
freezer, or he's dead?
Dead.
He's meditating. He's been doing it for years. He's trained.
Okay, 1-1.
He's gotten so good.
Well,
Mark.
I would say he's dead.
Okay.
But even in our, Western medicine world, people have been fooled. People have woken up alive in a morgue.
So shouldn't Try to see
Freezing is kind of cheating.
a commercial freezer?
Well, yeah, and freezing him, if he is dead, he's not going to decompose for really a really long time.
What if he's hanging in the
Just
freezer like
meditate forever.
But okay, so he died on 29th. Has he eaten? Has he drank?
No, nothing.
What,
He's been
what if
frozen.
he's hanging in the freezer like they do with those big slabs, and he's got like a big hook through his chest, and he's hanging there? Like, no, he's fine.
Wide-eyed and his tongue's hanging out.
It's like a
I'm pretty-
Saw movie.
I'm pretty in the
I like to
Lotus
do it.
position.
in the low. Levitating
This
three.
is what I
3 feet.
think. Okay, so here's another question. Okay, 17 years ago, a mine collapsed in China.
Oh man.
A group of coal miners from the western province of.
Is this related, or is this a different story?
Are you gonna help me with this? This is not.
Oh,
This is a
okay.
different story. We
I
threw the
didn't-
papers,
I didn't
Dennis.
know you couldn't
When we
pronounce-
throw the papers, we go to
Is
the
that
next
it?
story.
We're done with Shri Ravi Shum Shum?
Why did you turn the page though?
I don't know. What?
All right, I'll read it.
Hang on, you lost me there.
The first page of the next
That
story.
was not a smooth
The
transition.
first page of the next story.
All right.
You're on the second page of the next story. A group of coal miners from the western province of
Xinjiang
had an unbelievable surprise when the gallery they were
excavating.
was abandoned.
I know it's a tough one. It trips a lot of people up.
was abandoned 17 years ago after an earthquake had caused some large sections of tunnels to collapse. While they were excavating, a 59-year-old survivor from the 1997 accident, obviously in rather bad shape, was
Was immediately taken to hospital where where a blank will be done over the next.
You see,
2
here's the
weeks.
thing. We printed this story off the internet. We've got some
print it off to the side. Something's going to be done in the next few weeks.
There was a collapse in a mine 17 years ago in China,
Yeah, production. Take a look at
and
this.
they found a guy alive who's been buried and trapped underground for 17
So
years.
he ate everybody else, probably.
The man remained trapped underground with the bodies of 78 of his dead coworkers
Whoa.
after an earthquake of a magnitude of something.
17 years.
Can you imagine that?
He's got to be absolutely out of his freaking gourd.
There was a tunnel. There was a piece of there was an opening that had gotten trapped that gave air from the outside.
Like a vent.
It was like a vent, and
So that's where he got air from.
Yep, and where they were, there was a huge stash of food, of rice and these preservative foods had for a long time. And so he had rationed himself the food that was left over and ate moss.
How do you ration yourself, though? Like, yeah, I'm going to be here about 16, 17 years.
Yeah, he has
So
no
one
timeline.
cup
He has
of-
no grasp of
You
how
just
long
make
he's
it
gonna be.
last as long as you can. That's
Yeah,
all.
I mean, I'm not saying he had food left over. All I'm saying is that this is where they said his food source came from. There was also water dripping down through the vent hole. So he had water, he had food.
Wouldn't that have been awesome if he had, like, 47 years worth of food and he had been rationing? He's just like, one small cup of rice each day.
He's got
And then they rescue him. He's like, damn it! I got all. It's all going to go bad now.
He's got like a McFlurry machine down there. He's been like licking the faucet.
All right,
just to
this
get a
story-
little bit.
This story no longer makes sense.
No.
17 years is crazy.
He's-
So-
like I said, he's got to be nuts, right? I mean,
yeah, and it's got to be pitch black, silent.
It's basically like being in solitary confinement in prison for
Yeah.
17 years.
Look up China miner found alive.
You'd
and
think-
this story is there.
Was
It
he
is a real
digging?
story.
He's got to be digging out. Like, okay, you have a vent. Start there.
He managed to
Good
survive
point.
thanks
I would
to
follow the air.
Yeah,
Couldn't he
wasn't
follow
a
the-
bright miner.
Maybe he tried.
anyway.
He's like pushing
don't-
on
you-
a
you
little
don't know.
gate. He's pushing, and then 17 years. Oh, it was pull.
No one was here to yell from the cafeteria area. Oh, you got
It
Paul.
says so right
Funny
there.
thing is,
pull.
Davey read this story to me at work a couple days ago. And I was amazed by this story.
I was amazed too.
And you two just are berating the guy like what a moron for getting stuck underground for 17 years. There's so
he's
much
a
he could
moron.
have done if
That's
only
pretty,
he
it
tried.
is very amazing.
When they found him,
I just have a lot of questions about.
he was in there. 78 other people all died.
And they were all just bones and
Yeah,
stuff.
he had spent his time and given them each a proper burial and done.
How
so-
big was this mine?
I mean, it's big enough to give everybody a proper burial. I don't know.
like a pop barrel, like he's like, oh, hey, hey, oh.
Yes,
Like doing that,
possibly
like,
so.
That was
I'll
probably
come
the
up-
wrong
My
religion.
point in bringing all right, stop it. My point in bringing this story.
Miracles can happen. Let's pray for rain.
What would be more impressive? The guy in the freezer actually being able to pull through, or a guy who's been buried underground for 17 years
I would
being
actually,
found alive
I would actually say the guy in the freezer coming back to life.
would seem more believable. So
No,
What?
the opposite.
What? Yeah,
The guy in the freezer is
dead.
he's dead. He's dead as a
okay, so the
doorknob.
17 years is more believable.
Yeah, because I mean, you
Okay.
can actually figure out. Okay, he had food, he had water, he had air. Sucks, but he lived.
You were right.
Yeah, well.
So we're going to be talking about. I actually want to talk to you guys a little bit about global warming, and that will be coming up.
It's a real thing.
Is it? And this is our
Absolutely.
Definitely happening in this garage.
I've had a debate. I've
Studio.
actually had a few debates with some
Studio.
people on Facebook.
Garage studio. Garage guy.
I found myself over the last, I don't know, maybe month or two, becoming a lot more vocal and a lot more passionate about.
Yeah, you're
things
really
that I never
jamming
had.
up my news feed.
Am I?
Super annoying.
Really?
Just kidding.
So,
Yeah, I don't care if you like the green salsa more than the red. We don't need to talk about it all day.
yeah. Well,
I'm glad you're passionate, but it's like it's not that big of an issue.
It's just so much
Use
better.
them both.
But along with that, I'm becoming passionate about things that I never cared about. I don't care about global warming. To me, it's just ridiculous.
It's your old age.
Okay. It's just
Soon
like,
you're gonna be pissed off about them kids playing on your porch and And you're gonna throw the ball, and you'd be like, "It's mine now."
That's not an old age thing. Those kids deserve to lose their ball. No. All right, but first, I had I posted a Facebook meme. I guess it is. It was just a black screen with a phrase on it.
Yeah, that's a meme.
Is it?
Well, does it have a picture or
No,
just
I
a black
didn't have
screen?
a picture. Just a black screen. With
No,
a
those are
saying.
just words.
Okay, and it was offensive to somebody.
The fact that there was no picture, I would be kind
What
of
did it
annoyed by
say?
that too. I'd be like,
It
"Why
was
is there no
offensive
picture?"
to one of my friends on Facebook, and they called me out on it, and I took it down.
And they're saying, "Hey, if you put a picture of this, it'd probably,
So I wanted to have this discussion because I'm really big on individual rights. I believe that the individual is really the most important person to protect because it's the smallest minority is just the one person. But great injustice can be done to one person. There's a sign that went up in Texas, and I wish we had a picture
Are you
to
gonna
show
share what
you.
the meme said?
I am going to
Okay,
show you what the
okay.
meme said, but it was offensive to someone, and so I wanted to get some feedback from you guys, and for you listening to the show, maybe on the live chat, put in your thoughts, and we'll share them here on our show. Okay, message on a Texas sign leaves one woman disgusted and a bar apologizing profusely. The sign displayed outside a Texas bar trivialized the issue of domestic violence. What the sign said was, "I like my beer like I like my violence. Domestic."
These burgers are so good, you'll beat the shit out of your wife.
So this is what the sign said. Obviously, they were going for a cheap laugh. And more or less, the person, this woman who was offended said, "Domestic violence is no laughing matter. I'm the victim of domestic violence.
You know what else is no laughing matter? The hops in this beer. It's so good."
Shame on you for putting that chalkboard. It was a chalkboard. One of the employees put it up. So, according to Williams, who is a survivor of domestic abuse, the bar was conveying the message that domestic violence victims were no more important than the type of beer someone was drinking. That was the point of the person making the claim. So my question to you would be, was the bar wrong to put that offensive message on their chalkboard for a cheap laugh to the patrons that were coming and make light of domestic violence as if it's something to be laughed at and mocked and sort of shoved aside?
I would say it's like many other things we've talked about. It's absolutely okay for them to say it. It's very much in poor taste, and if you don't like it, then don't go drink there. But they should be able to put it up there, and if it kills their business, it kills their business.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mark?
I agree.
The passionate one.
That was a passionate debate.
Well,
I mean,
I
it's-
agree.
I think we've
And
all.
I said it well. I think that people can be a little bit too sensitive.
Mhm.
I think it's crazy that became a news story, like
Yeah.
a national news story, because, I mean, how often does stuff like that happen? And if not everybody in the world is going to know exactly the things I'm personally sensitive about, the things I've personally experienced that you might make a joke about, that might be made fun of on TV or whatever, that's commonly accepted as funny in culture, that may be offensive or hurtful to me personally. And that's where, as an individual, you just kind of have to take a step back and be like, they're not directing this at me or at you or at anyone in particular. It's obviously because they haven't experienced whatever the issue is. And so you kind of, I don't know, you have to kind of calm yourself down a little bit in instances
Yeah.
like that and not make it more of a deal than it was meant to be.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would argue that it's probably in poor taste, but you have the right to be in poor taste. It's kind of like stand-up comedians. It's like a lot of comedians they make it a point to be offensive in their humor because it gets a rise out of people, and it's like if you can evoke emotion in your audience, then usually that's effective for whatever you're trying to do. But nobody's ever being like, oh, this stand-up comedian, I'm going to take legal action against him, or it's like you just don't go see him. You don't listen to his CDs or whatever. It's the same thing with this, except when it comes to businesses, I think people tend to feel like it's different. Like oh, it's a business. They can't do that.
But they can do that, and they should be able to do that,
Yeah.
and they also have the subsequent right of experiencing the consequences of their actions, right? I kind of chuckled when I saw the picture because it's a little bit outrageous, and in that way it was kind of funny, but it also made me uncomfortable. And I was thinking, what if I owned the bar and one of my servers put that up? I think I would have a pretty serious conversation with whatever server put that up and said, this is not something that I want to be known for. This is not something. This is not a
good
value
attention.
that I'm trying to promote with my business, and so it's unacceptable. If that's something that they think is funny and everyone else can just go suck it, then we have rights as consumers to say, okay, I'll go there or I won't go there.
Well, yeah, and here's the other thing: if a restaurant said, we wholeheartedly support something that I wholeheartedly support, oh, we're anti-abortion. Well, I'm anti-abortion. Okay, cool. Then I would be encouraged to go there and spend money. And then if somebody was pro-abortion, they could say, oh, I'm not going to go there. And they decided to choose a side. The restaurant decided to choose a side, and I am going to show my support, and there are going to be people that refuse their support. And at the exact same time, it's socially unaccepted to harp on a comedian for him saying something offensive because that's what comedians do.
Right.
But in today, somebody puts up a chalk thing, and they write on their thing, and they go, oh, they say something offensive like what was said, and then it makes national news, and you kind of go, well, if I go into a restaurant here now, like the Lord's Kitchen, who has Christian things up, I can go, well, I can complain about that because whoever complained about this bar, and that's offensive, and it's not okay to be offended anymore, so I should make a big ruckus if I happen to be.
Yeah, I think you hit on it there. It's not okay to be offended anymore.
Yeah, since when?
Well, everybody seems to be offended, which is why I always tend to side with the individual rights, rights of the individual. Mm-hmm. When I was younger, I think 14 or 15. I remember going to a vending machine and paying money for a bag of chips or something. I think it was a bag of chips or a candy bar. And I think almost everybody has experienced this before. You put your money in, you select H2 or whatever, and the wheel spins, and it's almost out, but instead of dropping where it goes where you can get it, it stops short and kind of falls halfway.
Which is when you shake the ever-loving hell out of that machine.
So,
exactly.
As a 14-year-old who maybe borrowed money from his parents, maybe that was the only $1.50 I had or whatever, started shaking the machine just like what you said.
Give it you push on the top of it, give it a little tilt and a little slam and rock in there.
Exactly. While I'm doing this to get my chips that I've paid for that are dangling. It doesn't need much, I don't think. A lady tells me, stop. Don't you dare shake that. I was like, what? And she says, one of my best friends was killed by a vending machine falling on him. And
so tell you what, survival of the fittest, lady. If this thing falls on me,
I did not say something that clever because I was only 14, but I did say something very condescending to the point of. No, I didn't say that because it was something to the point of, well, your friend's stupid, and I'll make sure that I don't tip the vending machine all the way over on top of me. So, yeah. And she started to tear up, and she walked away in tears because whatever I had said was offensive to the point that she got crying and left. And I remember being the callous little prick, arrogant kid that I was. When my parents weren't around,
jackass.
I paid for this candy. This vending machine's trying to rob me. I'm not putting up with it. Okay. Fast forward to today. I would not say that to her. I may still rock the machine because I'm not going to be controlled by somebody with that kind of that would be odd. I would say, well, would you mind helping me with it? I would try and think of a way that I wouldn't just completely be as cruel to somebody who's imposing on my rights. My rights are I paid for the chips. My rights are I can shake the machine to get the chips out. But I do think there is a sense of courtesy that if you're somebody who is always fighting for your rights, that you're kind of a jerk. And so your message, which I think is actually an important message for everybody to embrace, because the greatest injustices in the world have in the name of the collective. We're gonna take from this and you've got this big, we're hurting this one person, but look at the benefits outweigh the cost. I posted a thing on my Facebook, which I actually wasn't going to share, but now since everybody's pointed it out, I kind of feel like I need to because, in the sense of honesty, I thought it was funny just because it caught me off guard.
Shouldn't have brought it up then.
I should not have. I should have seen it coming that you would want to know exactly what it said.
All right, what did it say?
It said, I enjoy long walks on the beach with my girlfriend. That is until the LSD wears off and I realize I'm just dragging a mannequin around the Wendy's parking lot.
Why is she? Who would be offended by that?
Somebody did not call me out in the same way as the girl who was telling me about rocking the vending machine. Okay. The other thing is, in the vending machine, it wasn't just her and I all by herself. I had friends around me. It was, it felt a little bit like public humiliation or being called out. But in a private message, somebody who's a very close friend of mine said, my cousin or my
cousin is a mannequin, okay?
She just said, this was I actually feel like you shouldn't be joking about that, and I feel like this is not something, I think higher of you than this level of humor. Was basically what she said. And I'll give you a very honest, as much as I care about this friend of mine, and this is not somebody who's an equal. This is somebody who has invested in my life and has helped me. And so as much as I cared about this individual, my first response is, hey, I don't care about your friend who got squished by the vending machine. I'm going to rock this boat. Everybody thinks it's funny. My first thought was, listen, me posting this was not directed to you. Me posting this was not intended. I didn't even know this inside story in your family.
So the inside story was that somebody in their family had drug issues?
Yes, okay. Bad, and almost died from LSD.
From LSD, okay.
Yeah, and so...
It's a pretty specific...
Now, it was one of those things, I couldn't have known it, and it was one of those things where, look, my comment did not pertain to that person's relative. I was not doing it in a cutting or thing. It was just a challenge to me that I should probably think before I post something that... Anyway, they said to me that when they read it, it actually hit them pretty hard, whatever. Now, the bottom line is I still believe in the core of my being that I have every right to post it. If that's how I want to present myself, there's no problem. Because my intentions weren't to hurt anybody. It was really because I was surprised at the ending and I laughed. I have no experience personally with LSD. I have no experience having to wrestle with that in my family. But I chose to take it down because even though I have the right to post it, if somebody asks me not to put that forward, there is a sense of personal responsibility of, you know what, how important is it? I mean, putting others first.
Yeah, I mean, I would weigh how much you don't want to offend that particular person versus how much you want people to see that funny joke.
This particular person means something to me. That relationship is worth guarding. But now let's say that this person wasn't somebody close to me. I would still say the principle is, what are you presenting as a person? What are you presenting as a human? Are you trying to make the world a better place? Are you trying to find that common ground? Or are you trying to stand up for your rights and prove you can do whatever you want to do and you're the god of your own, you chart your own course and nobody can say or do what you want? I almost feel like that should be sort of a last result. Like, yes, that is true. And when push comes to shove, if you need your chips and you don't have any more money and they're barely dangling, and there's no possible way the machine's going to come completely over on top of you, there may be a reasonable saying, listen, I'm not going to do anything like, I mean, I appreciate that. Could you help me? Or I'm just going to do something real quick here. Maybe you can supervise. I don't know. Whatever you find as a but I don't necessarily think, okay, well, since you seem to be offended by my actions, I have to cater. I don't see that. But I do also see that there is this sort of ridiculous narrative of these are my rights, and so Joe the plumber, I don't know if you know who he is, stood up to the president when he was running and basically said, what are you talking about? I'm a business owner. And the president said, well, I think there's a point where you make too much money. And that soundbite got him kind of made people go, what? I'm not sure what you're thinking here, President. And so Joe the plumber became an instant hero with those who were on
She wasn't even a plumber. It just made for a good story for the...
Okay. So, but anyway, he became like a legend, right? Like he became a... No, that's fine. I didn't know that. I thought he was a plumber.
Huh.
But the point was, all of a sudden,
I'll look it up.
This nobody from the internet who had one soundbite became very well known, and as if he's somebody who's really to be looked to for answers. Well, he's recently come back in the news, and it was in this. He was protesting this gun control thing, saying I have a Second Amendment, and what he said was, "Your dead children don't trump my rights."
Whoa.
Yeah. Now, I kind of understand what he's trying to say, but that's a terrible way to message it. Because you want to know what? There's no rights of mine that I wouldn't give up to save your kids, and so it almost sounds like a totally false statement.
Yeah.
Now, I don't agree that because there's a tragedy and
do you really?
Go ahead.
Do you really believe that?
No, I was going to say, while I do believe that there are tragedies, and that while there may be parents involved, that doesn't mean that we can use that tragedy to steer and go against the Constitution. However, to just make the statement and take the sentence by itself, your dead kids don't trump my rights, I do disagree with that. Because if your child was in danger, while I have a right to do nothing, I really don't have a right to do nothing. I need to save that if I can. And so it sounds very counterintuitive. It actually goes against what my principles are. If you have a child, Mark, and it's in the middle of the road, and I can save it, even at the risk of putting my own life in danger, then I no longer have the right to sit by and not do it.
Well,
and so it challenges that statement by itself. The reason why it sounds so shocking is because it challenges the base. You cannot sit by and say you have a. Now I understand what he's trying to say. You can't say that the parents of Sandy Hook get to say you get to eliminate the Second Amendment, because there's so many things there.
Right.
But what a piss poor soundbite.
Oh, absolutely.
To be the author of.
That's terrible. You sound like such a jackass if you say that. And I get what he's saying as well, because it's like, okay, my kid was shot in a terrible accident, therefore all Americans should lose their guns. And you go, well, no. So in that context, you say, your dead kid does not trump my rights. That's a terrible way to phrase it, but it is the truth. At the same time, though, it's kind of like if I have a gun right now, and a guy walks into our studio and shoots you and then shoots Dennis, by not shooting him...
If he shot Dave first, he wouldn't even get to me.
Okay,
right.
Shoot Dennis first.
Right.
Good night. He shoots Dennis first in the head.
You guys would have run.
Right.
He shoots
Whoa,
Dennis.
that guy's serious.
Listen, he walks in and goes, I hate all of you except Michael. And he shoots Dennis in the head, shoots Davey in the head. If I have a gun, killing Mark by not shooting him.
That's the weirdest analogy I've ever heard.
I know, but I had to transition it once Dennis threw me off.
I understand what you're saying. I mean, I've heard people make that kind of argument before, but
If you have the power to stop it.
you're not doing the right thing by not stopping it. But I wouldn't say that you're killing Mario. I had a friend who said something similar, that if you know somebody's going to do a bad thing and you don't stop them from doing it, then you're just as bad. You've done some bad, but you're not just as bad.
You're not
Agreed.
just as bad. No.
So you're not just as bad in the sense that you're not killing Mark like he would have killed Mark.
Right, I'm not choosing
But
before
your
to-
apathy is
and
still
Mark.
a bad thing.
Okay, but if you see a toddler
Mhm.
in the street,
Mhm.
okay, and you look down the street and you see there's a truck coming,
Mhm.
and you understand that kid doesn't have a clue the truck's coming. Do you or do you not have a moral obligation to put yourself at risk and get in front of that truck to save that toddler?
I'd say yes.
Absolutely, but if you don't, did you kill the kid?
You didn't kill the kid, but you violated a moral principle.
Right. So you've
Absolutely.
done something bad, but it's not as bad as.
If you watched the last episode of Seinfeld, you know at least it's a jailable offense.
But we don't know the circumstances. Maybe the truck is his ride. Maybe it's an ice cream truck. He's waiting with his dollar. He's going to move out of the way so he can get his bomb pop. Who knows? We
I
don't know.
said toddler.
And you push him so hard that he slams his head against the pavement and you kill him.
Okay.
The problem
All
is, I
right.
think with a lot of these
I
issues,
hate all of you.
I know.
Nobody
It's
knows
ruined.
what I'm trying. Nobody understands. Either I'm not good at articulating, or you're not good at understanding.
No,
Help me out. If you are listening to this show, put something in the comment box saying, "Dave, we get it,"
No, we're just.
and
I
you
think
can
the,
apologize for Mark
hey,
and Michael and Dennis.
I think the problem is with a lot of these issues, like we always talk about, like what you can say and what you shouldn't say, and all this is like the individual person usually is rational and smart,
Yeah.
whereas people are stupid and irrational.
The collective.
It's like the collective, like the that whole the collective mentality. It's like when it gets into a group, it's like nobody thinks for themselves. It's like they're all. It's like I can make an inappropriate joke to you, and
Mhm.
it's like you're smart enough to know that I'm joking, whatever. But if
Thank
I were
you.
to say it like in front of a crowd of people,
Let's
it's
say
like,
Mark.
even if each individual person is smart enough to know that I'm joking, it would still be like a crowd. Yeah, we're not cool with that, right? You know, even if each mob mentality is like even if the individual in the crowd, each one of them is like you and
That's
smart.
that's the analogy of what we've been trained. Michael, real quick, tell the story of the monkeys.
Oh, the gorillas and the
We
bananas.
don't need to hear about monkeys.
We do.
Yes,
This is a
very
Yeah.
great scientific study.
Yeah, this is killer. Okay, so actually, it was our mom that told us the story. So they had these.
good. You guys have the same mom?
We do. Me and Dave do. Not me and Mark, and not me and you, and not you and Mark. Me and Dave.
Me and Mark actually do.
No, you don't.
Surprise!
Go ahead,
I've
go
done
with your
research.
story.
I've done research. Okay, so they had these 5 monkeys, right? 5 gorillas. And they got them in this cage, and they throw these bananas into this cage, right? And the monkeys are like, oh, hey, look, bananas, guys. So they'll go running over to the bananas, and they take a fire hose out, and they blast them all away from the bananas. Okay, so they're all like, what the hell? Like, oh hey, sorry. So then the next day, we like bananas. What are you doing to us? So the next day, they throw bananas in, and the monkeys are like, oh, well, hey, bananas. They start going for it, and they spray it again. And the next day, they throw bananas. They go, we're not going to go for the bananas because we're going to get sprayed by this violent fire hose. So then they take one of the monkeys out, monkey number 1, and they replace it with a brand new one. The next day, they throw bananas in. The new monkey
Okay,
goes,
so now this new monkey's never seen,
right,
isn't
No
familiar.
idea.
Okay.
So he goes, hey guys, bananas are over there. I'm gonna go get them. So he goes running over, and all the other monkeys are like, oh no, crap, the fire hose. The monkey touches the bananas. They spray the new monkey and all the other 4. So the next day, they throw the bananas in. The new monkey goes, hey guys, bananas again. And they'll go, no, don't touch it this time. They grab him, pin him down, and beat the crap out of him. They go, don't touch the bananas. So then the scientists are like, this is interesting. So they take another one of the original monkeys, monkey number 2. They take him out and they replace him with a new one. Now this new monkey starts running towards the bananas and goes, hey guys, banana time. And all of the monkeys, including number 1 that was replaced, run over to him, stop him from touching them, and beat the crap out of him. They did this with monkey a couple days. They did this with monkey number 3, number 4, and number 5. They had 5 gorillas, we're saying monkeys, but they're gorillas, who, when they threw bananas in, a new one would run to get them, and the other 4 would go and beat him up, even though they had never actually been sprayed by a fire hose. They didn't know why they were beating him up if they thought about it.
That is interesting.
But they go, when bananas come, we beat the monkey. The new monkey doesn't know any. Because he's going to go for him, and we just know to beat him up. They don't know why. They just know to beat him up.
So
It's a killer analogy.
the instinct changed from not wanting to get sprayed by water to just
Mob
monkey
mentality.
goes to banana,
Yep.
we beat him up.
New guy
The only
goes, we
problem
stop him.
is it's still monkeys, and we still do have as humans a little bit better capability to reason. So it's not
morals,
exactly great,
ethics.
but it does
I actually
illustrate
do
the
that
mob
at the grocery
mentality
store a
That was
lot.
pretty well.
The point was, the point was just to illustrate the point of,
Well, here's how I see it. Someone puts something up on a bar that's offensive. The lady says, that's offensive to me because of a personal thing that's happened to me. And then she says that, or I don't know if it was a lady that complained. I don't know if you said that. Whoever complains. They complain, and then the rest of everyone else goes, yeah, if that really happened to you, I put myself in your shoes, and I'm with you. And they go and stand with her, even though they have no emotional tie to this statement. They live in Texas.
We don't know.
And that's
Maybe that monkey
whatever.
was making inappropriate jokes
Yeah,
about
but here's-
LSD. We don't
here's-
know.
He could have been
sorry, Mark.
He could have been a jerk.
tweeting that.
The point was, what Dennis said was he could say the same thing to every single person in the crowd individually, and it would be fine. And even though the statement was made that technically, in the sphere of public, may sound offensive, one-on-one, you'd understand that person, and you'd be able to relate and identify with that person,
Right.
so it would not be offensive. But if it was said in a public setting, everybody in that public sphere would be against it. And so it's like
a new monkey.
publicly, you've been trained, these are bad, this is wrong, I can't hear this, I can't say that. So when someone says it publicly, it becomes, oh, no, you can't say that. And the only reason has nothing to do with the way it violates you personally. It's that you've been trained that this narrative is wrong. And so anybody who gets even close to that narrative, we need to beat them up.
Yep. And when you
And
ask
so
a new
we're
monkey,
beating up monkeys, even though we have no personal affection. We've never actually been sprayed with the fire hose personally.
right? The new monkey, you ask him, you go, do you like bananas? He goes, yeah, I want to go get bananas. You throw him in the group with the rest of them, and he goes, we should go beat up the new guy.
So with the monkeys, though, there are scientists administering the experiment, which is what garners the mob mentality in this specific instance, right?
Okay.
That's right.
So there is something
Outside.
that initiates which way the mob will go.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think that is?
Well, I don't know what that is personally.
I think some of it is fear of what you think the other person's thinking.
Yeah.
Like, even if I tell you an inappropriate joke, you know that I'm kidding,
Mhm.
but if some other people in the room who also individually would know that I'm kidding, you might not know that they will know that I'm kidding, so you're going to act on the safe side and act outraged.
And beat you up
Right.
for what you said, even though I know probably you're not.
Right. Every individual in there knows that it's a joke, but every individual doesn't know that all the other individuals don't know that it's a joke.
And here Mark thought that we were smarter than monkeys.
Idiot.
Every time I go to the grocery store, if I see a stock boy and he's like,
Some of us
and
are
he's putting in
because
new mon-
we're not part of the mob.
Dennis, keep talking.
if I see a stock boy like loading up the bananas, and it's like, if he looks really young, I'm like, hey, are you new? And he's like, yeah, I've been here about a week. I just ain't your lucky day, boy.
Now you sound like a pedophile.
Just beat him up.
All right, so Mark, real quick before we switch subjects to global warming, which I got into a debate this week on Facebook with some individuals.
Yes.
Who do you think is the scientist in this experiment? I mean, you led the question. I got to figure you have an answer.
Yeah, I think I think it varies based on which mob we're talking about. There's little mobs.
All right, so you don't have an answer. All right.
The media.
Okay.
On a nationwide
That's
scale,
always Mark's
on-
go-to answer. The media.
no, on a nationwide scale, I'd say the media dictates the culture,
I would agree.
and we tend to,
Yeah, I mean the only reason
I think it's more complicated than that, but
Yeah, but the most offensive thing we've heard recently is the Donald Sterling thing, which we've talked about on this show, and we heard that from the media. And every single time that story has been presented, obviously that media, whoever is presenting the story, has been very careful to also include with it that they are against that.
well, in the media, TV shows,
Mhm,
news
yeah.
broadcasts, whatever, that's where we see the other monkeys getting beaten up, right? That's where we see the billionaire saying the racist comment being beaten up. That's where we
Losing
see
his-
the Duck Dynasty star getting beaten up. That's where it's broadcast, right? That's where we see it. And so we're like, well, if I'm a business owner, I can't say this because I'm going to get beat up too. That's our example. So,
Brilliant point.
yeah, whatever.
So no, I liked it. That's pretty good because that is true. The only reason I'm afraid of what I may say on this podcast, if there is any fear, which there's not much to be honest, but the only reason I'm even careful sometimes is because of what I have seen other people in the media. They say something that's far less controversial than things I actually have said. If you were to take just individual sound bites and not care to learn who I really am and what I really think. I've seen people get absolutely crucified for far less than even what I've said on this podcast.
Yeah, but what if our
For
mom
just
listens?
if you were to just take a 30-second soundbite by itself and not look at what I'm actually the point I'm trying to make, because I'm not a skilled orator, as we demonstrated earlier by Dennis having to sound out all the hard words for me. All right, so my buddy here posted an article on global warming. Okay, and the article was not necessarily against global warming, but it just supported it. But what the point of the article was is why people don't agree with science. Okay, because they're stupid. The science of why we don't believe in science is what this article is called. Okay, a man with conviction is a hard man to change. Tell him you disagree and he turns away. Show him facts or figures and he questions your sources. Appeal to logic and he fails to see your point. So wrote the celebrated Stanford University psychologist Leon Festinger in a passage that may have been referring to the persistent rejection on the part of so many Americans today of what we know about global warming and its human causes. But it was too early for that. It was the 1950s, and Festinger was actually describing a famous case study in psychology. Okay? And he talks about, this is why I said it's a global warming proponent thing, because that was not what the guy was actually talking about. But he tells a story in this. This is from Mother Jones called Fact Free Nation. If you look it up, The Science of Why We Don't Believe in Science. It talks about a cult in Chicago that believed they could talk to aliens. And that through whatever means they were doing it, this small group of people were communicating with these aliens, and the aliens were going to come to Earth and destroy the Earth, but were going to save the few that were communicating with them that they had this ongoing conversation with. So a lot of them sold all their possessions, got ready for this rapture.
Why would they sell all their possessions? Are they going to
Well,
take their money up to space?
It wasn't a matter of needing the money in space. It was get rid of it. I mean, we're not going to be here in 5 days
what's
anyway.
the U.S. dollar to space buck conversion rate?
It wasn't like they were selling. They gave away I mean, I don't know. They made themselves destitute, and they wore robes because they were afraid them.
Of course, they gotta wear robes, right?
Well, because
if you're crazy, you gotta wear a robe.
No, it's not crazy. It's the metal of your zippers and the metal of your buckles could be affected by the spaceship that's coming to pick you up.
That's a
Okay.
pretty crabby spaceship.
This was in
If it's
1970.
get messed up by a
My
zipper.
cell phone's not affected by my belt.
I shouldn't have said 1970. It was in 1954. So they went up to the mountaintop. They were all ready. I'm not saying they all sold it, but a lot of them just got rid of everything.
Now I'm more on the zipper thing.
And much to their surprise, and to mine personally after reading this story, that the aliens never showed up at all.
What? What?
Okay?
Wait.
The aliens never came.
They left their zippers on, didn't they?
No. The aliens, and so now here's the thing: you've got this cult that was been building up to the aliens are going to come in December 21st, 1954, and then it doesn't happen. So of course they're going to see the error of their cult. But no, in fact, they changed the narrative, said the aliens have saved us because we've communicated, because we've had this ongoing conversation. They see value in our culture, and they're not going to come and destroy the world. And you're welcome. And they became more fervent in their faith, and they started to proselytize more than ever before.
And then they were like, do you think the pawn shop is still open? Because I want to get my stuff back.
It was like they used the example of the space alien when they didn't show up. Instead of it showing that maybe they were just talking to themselves, maybe they've been sold a bill of goods. Instead of seeing that, they decided to dig in and create a new narrative. So the point of the message was, this is what the climate change deniers are doing. They refuse to look at the science, and so it doesn't matter what we throw at them, they just dig their heels in more.
Ugh.
Okay. Mark?
Uh-oh. Mark made a noise.
Mark, what say you?
Well, I was just going to ask a very simple question.
Fine.
The question is, wouldn't global warming proponents be, in this analogy, the alien believers? Considering that global warmists have predicted time after time after time the destruction of the Earth, and it's never happened. The people who don't believe in global warming say everything's fine, everything's going to continue to be fine, and guess what? Everything has been fine. So the global warming people, every 10 years they come out with a new prediction that the Earth is going to be obliterated in 10 years from global warming. This has happened since like 1930 was like the first global warmist alarmist prediction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And nothing's so wouldn't
No.
the global warming people be the alien believers?
So what I responded to this message on my Facebook was, I like the article, but the conclusion I'm supposed to reach is odd. They tell the story of the cult who could talk to aliens. They believe the aliens told them they were going to come here. Of course, the aliens did not show up, and rather than see the error in their logic, they dug in, challenged the narrative, or changed the narrative, and despite the facts and public rejection, became even more fervent in their message. There are, quote, experts who used to say that we are causing a global ice age. In the 1970s, the science community was claiming that the world was getting colder. There was one proposition that put soot all over the global ice caps to try and warm us up. Because of pollution, we're causing clouds in the sky, we're trapping, the sun's warmth can't get in, and we're going to freeze to death. Mm-hmm. I've got 30 different articles I posted on this guy's Facebook page.
Do you think though out of that group that there's one, like everybody's wearing robes, but one guy's like, you know what, I'm gonna wear my Batman onesie pajamas with the little footies, and then when the spaceship didn't come, do you think they were kind of like, it might have been him?
Air pollution could bring an ice age. Another ice age, pollution blocking sunlight. New ice age coming. It's already getting colder. Ice age around the corner. U.S. scientist sees new ice age coming. Ice age refugee dies underground. Dirt will bring new ice age. Pollution called ice age threat. Pollution cause ice age agency reports. Cold facts about pollution. Pollution's two-way freeze on society. Pollution prospect a chilling one. New ice age may descend on man. Is mankind manufacturing a new ice age for himself? I got 20 more headlines from magazines, newspapers, from the experts back then.
Those are actually all ads for Dairy Queen's new Blizzard flavor.
No. That is what the scientific community was saying back then.
That was.
So, in recent years, the experts have reversed their predictions and said that we are causing a global warming, the exact opposite of their original prediction. And back then, what they said was the combustion engine is what's causing the pollution, which is causing the ice age. Oddly enough, it's the SUVs that are causing the world to warm. So, the exact opposite of the original prediction, so they were 100% wrong. Don't worry. There will still be disaster if we don't do something. Oddly enough, we are told that the same solutions will fix the exact opposite problem. Much of global warming research has shown to be exaggerated at best, and with the public experiencing some far colder winters than predicted, we're from Michigan, we know this to be true. The experts now call it climate change or climate chaos. And they're all different stuff, but it's all climate stuff. And so basically, whatever the weather is doing, hot or cold, it's not the climate, it's just the weather. So now the cold winters and the hot summers both count to prove the experts. All of these things are our fault, and guess what the solution is? You got it. Give control to regulate the masses. It seems to me that the ones who cannot face the reality of considering other options are the ones who doubt these experts. But the ones who keep changing the narrative while concluding the exact same solution. New laws, in my opinion, the aliens haven't shown up for the cult of global cooling / warming / climate change experts. And rather than re-looking at things, they are doubling down and even calling those who ask questions the crazy ones.
I like my global warmists like I like my toilets.
How's that?
Full of Oh, we're out of time.
We are out of time. And I'll just say this. I haven't continued to post on this individual's page because I don't want to be mean. And, you know, I have beliefs that I believe deeply, and climate change is not really my passionate hot button. But I do find it interesting that he's the one who posted that story about the aliens, trying to equate it to the deniers. And when I gave him all 30 of these links to what was being said by the scientific community in the 70s, and then also another link from Forbes that had a whole bunch of other research of scientists basically kind of, you know, giving an opposite point of view. He said to me, that website is not a reliable source of information. He said, basically, I suggest the entire narrative you have constructed about global cooling and warming is a fabrication of your own bias against it.
Wow.
So he questions and I said, well, my source was not that website. It was the it was the 30 plus links to magazines and newspapers, you know, from that time. And he said magazines are not respected institute of science, none of which endorse that position.
Well, then send me your link.
And so he did. He sent me some pro-global. So he said, I recommend starting with a science body as the point of entry. Then he says, I am a Republican, not a Democrat, as if that gave him more credibility. Nor do the opinions of non-climate scientists hold much sway over me. So, listen to my scientists, not your scientists. And I'm just amazed, and I was really challenged by him and someone else of, am I simply, I know what's right because my dad taught me. Men that I respect have swayed me in a direction, and I have become married to my ideology, and I have not changed. But is it because, and this is a question for you listening as well, are your beliefs because you understand something, or is it because you've seen it on the media or you've heard it from somebody close to you, and you've just married yourself to that position? And so nothing can sway you because it's not coming from whatever you've put your trust in.
Therefore,
have you ever believed in something as big as the world getting too hot, or you know, your rights as an individual, you know, what you can or can't pose? I mean, have you ever been challenged and actually gone, all right, I'm going to step out of my own sphere and what I actually think, what I've always thought, and consider this from square one and try and learn something? Because if you haven't, then you're not really growing as an individual. And I have read a lot of this pro-global warming stuff, not because I'm going to agree with it, even if but it is worth looking at. It's worth learning. Has the world been getting warmer or not? Now, the solution is a completely different topic, and whether we're causing is a completely. But it's stupid to say, no, I'm not listening to it because I don't like the people on that
It
side.
does sound like you're bringing it back to the science versus religion. Is that what you're bringing it back to? Because, I mean, you've got people who've been told something their whole life that's ingrained in them, and they got other people saying otherwise.
Well, I don't disbelieve or believe in global warming because of religion.
No, I'm just comparing.
I don't
to,
have a lot of trust in the experts. That was basically okay. So the experts are saying the sky is falling. I don't believe it. It's Chicken Little. It's like, okay, you guys said it was cooling in the 70s. Then you said it was warming in the early 2000s. Now you're calling it climate change because it's not getting warmer. All right, you lost your credibility.
Well, and I think what you're saying too works just as well for religion. Don't just believe what's told to you.
Yeah.
Investigate it for yourself.
Yeah, that's my
You
point.
shouldn't be
okay.
a person of
sorry.
faith if you've never investigated that faith. If you don't know what that faith is, if you've never experienced that faith yourself, don't just follow a faith blindly. Don't follow science blindly either.
But it's tough when you're raised from 0 years old.
Absolutely, you could be taught pretty much anything from 0 years
Yeah.
old, and if the person you trust the most, your parents, are telling you it, then you're going to believe it.
Yeah.
I think the other lie too, real quick, is that science is removed from politics, and
Should be.
that is not the case.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening in on our conversation. If you had something you wanted to add, you can always add live on our chat tab underneath the video at thedummyload.com. Or if you're listening to this recorded via podcast, or you're listening to this in the car or whatever, please send us an email to thedummyload@gmail.com. Give us your thoughts, criticisms. Take us out. We will
To dinner.
bring your comment. No, I'm just saying, if we've said something that you feel passionate about, it's hard to imagine that we haven't struck a nerve. I mean, we're talking global warming. We're talking
Right. I mean, they
all
can
the
take
stuff.
us out to dinner too.
That's
That's all I'm saying.
Free dinner, I'm always down for. But send us your comment, and we will bring you on to the show. We'll discuss that, and we will address your comment because it's fun to do that. We like the debate. Until next week, this is the Dummy Load. Keep it on the DL.